Hello everyone, my name is Ewelina Gdaniec and I'm contented that I was asked by our library to share one of my favorite books with the students and friends of the WSG University. And as far as I'm a historian and I'm very much into British politics and British culture, I decided to choose this one, and it's Jonathana Blacka book called Winston Churchill and British Art, 1900s to present day, the Titan with many faces. In this heavily illustrated book, Jonathana Blacka considers the changing image of Churchill in visual art from cartoons and paintings to photographs and sculptures. He asks how and why his image developed right up to the present day and examines the extent to which Churchill was complicit in its production. And Jonathana Blacka is a senior research fellow in history of art at Kingston University, UK, a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. He became interested in the image of Churchill while studying the sculptor Ivor Robert Jones, who's responsible for this iconic statue of Churchill, which stands in Parliament Square in London. And the book itself is quite recent. It's from 2017. I bought it in London, but you may find some copies in libraries nearby or in our region or online. It has 8 chapters. It's divided chronologically. And the first one is before 1914. The second one is on the First World War. Then we've got the Roaring Twenties, the time before 1930s. Churchill image during the Second World War, in the time of the Cold War, twilight years, so retirement to finish, and Churchill's visual legacy, so memorials from 1965 to 1999, and epilogue Churchill for the 21st century. It's heavily illustrated. You can find lots and lots of amazing caricatures and cartoons here, and a very detailed description. So it's definitely great to see how the image changed during the course of years. Of course, some pictures are heavily politically oriented, but the description helps you to untangle all of the mysteries behind the pictures. And even in the 21st century, Churchill still remains the dominant figure in the political realm, a benchmark against which any budding leader of the Conservative Party has to measure up with before hurtling into the fray of the House of Commons. But Churchill also had a sensitive side to his character. He was a keen artist, painting landscapes invested with light and color, and forming close friendship with other artists, including, for example, Walter Sticker and Oscar Niemann. He was well known for his readiness to appear in his uniform for photo opportunities during the Second World War. And not only he wrote about the art of political caricature, but he also collected the cartoons of himself, his allies, and the opponents. Churchill himself took painting classes from Chicago-born artist called Hazel Lavery, and had his personal portrait painted by her husband, a very successful Irish artist called John Lavery. And this painting from 1915 is one of the first pictures in this handsome book of Jonathana Blacka. And this friendship with Hazel and John Lavery remained pretty important in Churchill's life through 1920s. They played a key role in providing a communications link between the British and Irish sides during the negotiations that led to the founding of the Irish Free State. So much so that a portrait of Hazel by her husband John adorned Irish banknotes for much of the 20th century. Churchill's public image was largely created and afterwards immortalized by these portraits, paintings, and sculptures displayed in the homes of newspaper magnates, reproduced in the popular press, and exhibited at the Royal Academy. Churchill and his wife Clementine were never slow to give their own views on these works, sometimes taking their criticism to extreme levels. And in 1954, when they secretly destroyed an official portrait by Graham Sutherland, which they loathed. Based at the Dulwich House Museum in London and a fellow in art history at Kingston University, as I said, Jonathana Blacka has done an admirable job researching and writing his book. It carries on from his earlier research funded by the British Arts and Humanities Research Council, which involved documenting the First World War memorial. So as I said, the first three chapters. He went on to publish a book on the work of Ivor Robert Jones, who from 1970s onwards had something of a monopoly on creating memorials to wartime leaders in Whitehall. And Robert Jones' portrayal of Churchill was deservedly popular when unveiled in Parliament Square in 1971, and gathered further attention when given a punk grass Mohican hairdo by an anti-capitalist protesters in the year 2000. It also featured in Danny Boyle's documentary film shown at the opening of the 2012 Olympic Games. And head of sculpture at Goldsmiths College of Art until 1978, Robert Jones deserved a medal for maintaining his post in the face of the onslaught of the conceptual art movement as much as he did for his wartime service during the Burma campaign. He was awarded the 1971 Churchill Commission in the face of a still competition from Oscar Niemann. Black documents all this in detail with copies, footnotes, and a good index. And from cartoonists to society portraits, from emigrant sculptors to royal academicians, artists over the years flocked to portray the heavily jawed politician with a penetrating gaze who helped to save the world from the fascist dictatorship. And this handsome book is a fitting tribute to a great leader. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.